I have a story for you. On Christmas Day of 2016, the Nigerian breweries was struck down by fire. Yes, a large number of beer bottles were lost. Thankfully, no lives were lost. However, it was still a major fire outbreak. On the same Christmas Day of 2016, at a market near Berger, along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, a fire broke out, and many stalls were razed down by this fire. And somewhere else in this same country, in Nigeria, during this Harmattan season, a large number of people in a family home were huddled up near a warm fire in front of burning firewood, or front of burning charcoal, trying to keep warm. It was a great reprieve after the very hot season. And the epileptic power supply, these are the kinds of things we face sometimes. Hi, I'm Dr. Hadiza Maraleya Suleiman. I'm your favorite holistic reconstructive surgeon, and today we're going to talk about, yes, you guessed it, fires. Fire hazards that can kill you. So, do you know one of the worst things about Harmattan? Well, the Harmattan season is a season that is wrought with plenty of fires. What is peculiar about the Harmattan season, especially in some areas of Africa? This Harmattan season is wrought with dry weather that is mainly as a result of the dry weather that is carried upwards through the east, across the western savanna, down to the Gulf of Guinea. It is very dry. It is a weather that is prone to extremes of temperatures. It is a weather in which things can easily ignite. And sadly, these fire outbreaks are very common in many parts of the world that experience Harmattan season. So what are the three factors that cause fire? Oxygen, or air, heat, and fuel. That fuel is what makes the fire continue to burn, along with the oxygen or the air. These three things, the oxygen, the heat, and the fuel, if they are not present, that fire will be extinguished. So the oxygen, the heat, and the fuel makes up what we call the fire triangle. And once you add in the chemical reaction, you have the fire tetrahedron. The fire tetrahedron, which is composed of the heat, the oxygen, and the fuel, making up those three things with the chemical reaction, and the fire begins to burn. Does fire burn faster during the Harmattan? Yes, we mentioned it. This Harmattan season is an extremely dry wind, which originates in this Sahara. And at the slightest provocation, when the Harmattan wind blows, it spreads its tentacles across the western coast. Apart from the fact that these fires can cause great crop damage, do you know that if we make sure that we prevent ourselves from fires, we will be preventing ourselves from a lot of harm during this Harmattan season. And did you know that most of the fire disasters witnessed during this period are majorly caused by human error? Every year, between the months of November to the March of the following year, we have infernos, which make unwelcome visits to marketplaces, to schools, to homes, to industries. And that's why we're discussing this topic today, to minimize and ultimately prevent fire outbreaks in our homes, in our schools, our industries, our companies. Now, how do we prevent this from happening? First of all, these fire outbreaks are greatly caused by, yes, you guessed it, the storage of flammable products in our homes, in our industries, in our cars. We know that in certain parts of the country, even here in Nigeria, there has been a shortage in fuel, petroleum products generally, especially petrol. And because of this, a lot of people hoard petroleum products in their homes and even in their cars. And what do you expect? Yes, fires at the slightest provocation. Once you have this heat, you have this air, that's the oxygen, and it starts burning. That is the end. What else can we do during the Harmattan season? We all know that the Harmattan season is a period where we have the Christmas season also. There are a lot of festivities, and there are a large number of people that, yes, you guessed it, use a lot of fireworks. They want to celebrate, they want to have fun. So we should make sure that we regulate the use of fireworks. Even if in our various places where we reside, we don't have the regulation strictly enforced, we should know that we should regulate the use of fireworks. We should not allow our children to operate fireworks because we know that any spark can cause heat and then the fire will erupt because of the mixture with the oxygen, right? Yes. So you should make sure that these children don't have access to these firecrackers. And not only during Christmas, mind you, even during the New Year. The New Year, yes, it is still the Harmattan period, and it's still very dry. How about bush burning? Bush burning is mainly seen in agrarian communities, that is, in areas where you have a lot of farming taking place. But bush burning also occurs not only in the rural communities, but also in the cities. Even in our homes, in our schools, our workplaces, we find out that we bush burn on our own. If we have a lot of refuse from probably dried leaves, dry grass, many of us would prefer to, instead of employing someone who knows how to regulate and control the fire while they're burning the refuse, many of us will prefer to burn the refuse ourselves. But why do we do that? Why not just let somebody else do it? Somebody who is used to burning that refuse. So this bush burning has been identified as a major culprit as the dry wind blows the fire out of control, spreading it to various settlements. Many people in various communities have been warned against setting the fire on these bushes without monitoring it. Some communities even burn these fires, not just to burn the refuse per se, but, you guessed it, to hunt for those bush babies, those bush animals, the bush meat that causes Lassa fever. Yes, they burn these bushes. So some people will get burnt and develop burn injuries. Other people will not get burnt. They'll eat the bush meat in a very unhygienic manner. And yes, you guessed it, get Lassa fever. But today we're talking about the fires and the burn injuries that we sustain from the fires and how to prevent it. So if you're in your home, why don't you just cut back or remove any dry or dead landscaping plants or bushes around your home? This will go a long way in preventing fires around your home. Did you know that there are some fire-resistant plants and trees? Yes, there are. There are some fire-resistant plants and trees that you can actually plant in your home. Many of us don't know this. In fact, I didn't know this until I was researching to present this topic. There's some fire-resistant plants and trees like buckwheat, the oak trees, the lemonade berry trees. And did you know that there are some plants that we have commonly in our home that have a lot of leaves that predispose us to fires, because these leaves eventually they can dry out during the Harmattan season, and yes, you guessed it, the fire outbreaks will occur. So these deciduous plants are usually less flammable. These trees and plants that I said you can actually plant are usually less flammable. They're less flammable than the evergreens that are common more in our own tropical environments because of some reasons. The living deciduous leaves tend to have a higher moisture content than the evergreen leaves. And so they're not as, they're not as easily flammable as the evergreen trees, which usually have leaves that become dry and of course can easily get inflamed. And so these deciduous plants, they don't readily ignite during the winter season because, well, they don't have any leaves to burn in the first place. So please clear your leaves from your roofs and your gutters, rake them away from the sides of your home, move away anything that will burn, far away from structures or items like your firewood, your compost piles, your brush piles, etc. And make sure that whoever is burning that refuse should make sure that the fires are enclosed and limit the height of the open flames in these domestic environments by making sure that he does the right thing always and his or her attention should be on what he or she is doing. Also, people, all of us, we have to be safety conscious. How can we be safety conscious? We should ensure that whenever we're not at home, all our electrical appliances should be switched off. All right? If you're going out to work, if you're going out for an event, if you're going out, nobody is left at home, or even if there's someone left at home, but in that particular room, you know that there's nobody using any electrical appliance in that room, please switch off all electrical appliances. Make sure that you unplug your hot irons. Make sure that you unplug your clothing irons, your curling hair irons even. If you have any naked wires in your homes, please make sure that you get a qualified electrician to fix them. All right? Remember that a little spark can create great havoc. For those using generators to power electricity in their homes, please and please do not refuel your generators while they're on and while they're still working. I mentioned it before, don't store those inflammable materials in your homes. Don't store that petrol or your diesel within your house. Please let your generator house be outside your home, far away from your home. If you have space within your home, there should be a separate little house or a separate cage or a building, if possible, to house your generator. And you should store your flammable products, your diesel or your petrol that you're going to use to run your generator far away from that generator room, because any spark can cause a fire outbreak immediately. What else can you do? Apart from the fact that some people keep these flammable products in their homes, in their offices, in their industries, we know that such accidents, such fire accidents occur when some people, some drivers, some people that store gasoline products in their cars, keep them, usually because of the fuel shortages. They drive with people in their cars, and what happens? For some reason, maybe the temperatures are very high, those petroleum products are exposed to high temperatures, and yes, they just ignite, and the fire just occurs. So please don't transport that gasoline in your cars. Don't transport them in containers that, are not the proper containers. Store your gasoline products in the proper containers, well labeled, far away from any product that is likely to cause a fire. All right? Keep your doorways, your corridors, your exit paths clear and unobstructed. Any device that causes or generates heat, like your stoves, your cooking stoves, your clothes dryers, your heaters, your warmers, your heaters during the Harmattan season that you use commonly, please do not place them areas that are very hot, because a fire outbreak is just around the corner. These potential fire hazards are many. How about some of us that use candles? We all know that during festivities like the Christmas and the New Year, some of us use candles. So if you do use candles, make sure that you blow out the candles before you leave your rooms. Don't keep your candles on surfaces where easily the children will see them and play with them. They can easily trip over the candles. They can easily fall over the candles with their fingers, and that can result in a fire outbreak because the weather is so dry. It's the Harmattan season after all. All right? What else can you do to prevent these fires from occurring? Remember that also a burning candle should never be left unattended. Yet, many candles are often forgotten and can burn out of control. So make sure that you extinguish those candles before leaving the room, and do not leave your cooking unattended. Many of us leave our cooking unattended. We put our food on fire and we leave the room, the kitchen, for a short while just to probably check up on something. And oh dear, when we come back, the fire is already out of control. All right, so please don't do that. Don't leave your cooking unattended. Cooking has been known to be the #1 cause of residential fires in some areas. So if you leave your stovetop fire unattended, you should make sure that you stop doing this. Never leave your hot oils, your cooking pot unattended. Keep your gas cylinders outdoors. Proper storage of your cylinders in your home is paramount. And you know that any leakage is highly risky during the Harmattan period. The cylinders should be placed in a well-ventilated location and not exposed directly to the sun or other heat sources. This gas cylinder should not be placed near an electrical socket or a flammable substance. I just remembered something. Someone that I know quite well just recently created a hole from their kitchen leading to the outside, because previously their gas cylinder used to be within their kitchen. And so when I noticed that, I said, look, this is very dangerous, especially during the Harmattan season. So you need to make sure that your gas cylinder is placed outside. And then I was really pleasantly surprised. Just a few days later, I found out that the cylinder had been placed outside. A hole had been made in the kitchen wall, and it led outside, and the pipe connecting the cooker, the cooking area, the cooking area, and the hose leading from that cooking area passed through that hole outside and then attached to the gas cylinder outside. That was just perfect. That's the perfect thing to do. Okay. So I implore all of us, please, to be very, very careful. We should dispose if we smoke. Smoking is not healthy. Smoking is not good. But for people who smoke and they're trying to stop smoking, I assume if they're listening to this, they should make sure that they should dispose of their smoking materials properly. Your cigarettes and your cigars, please dispose of them properly. Don't lie down while you're smoking, or should I say, don't smoke while you're lying down, because people sometimes fall asleep while smoking. I have come across a patient in the past who sustained almost 100% burns from smoking while lying down. This poor young man, quite young man, he was less than 35 years of age. I think he was depressed at some point. He was smoking in his bed and he slept off, and that resulted in a fire. This resulted in him burning most of his body, and at the end of the day, he became suicidal, even though He was well monitored and, closely monitored in the hospital. He was very, very suicidal. And I'm sure at the end of the day, the quality of his life was quite poor. Not just because of the burn injuries he had, but because of his mental state. What else can we do? Don't extinguish those cigarettes near landscaping, near plants, near trees, because we know that they can easily just ignite and fires will occur. Don't put out your cigarettes in your potted plants. Potting soil is an organic material and also has the potential to ignite. So don't extinguish your cigarettes or your cigars in those potted materials. All right? Don't toss your smoking materials out on the roadway. Sometimes we're walking by or we're driving by and we see people who are smoking just, throw out their cigarettes. It can cause fires. All right? Very importantly, don't allow your children to play with your cigarettes, to play with your naked matches, to play with your lighters, because in doing so, they can set the bed or the furniture on fire, the couches in the parlor on fire. And know that we should remember that as our environments become dusty and hazy, with dryness to everything, including these, not just the trees, the wooden items, the leaves, the furniture, we need to be more careful. Motorists also need to make sure that they have their fire extinguishers within their cars. Just like we have our fire extinguishers within our homes, we should ensure that we have our fire extinguishers in our cars, because we all know that fire incidents can occur while we're driving, isn't it? Not just to us, but also to nearby passing vehicles. And so if we have fire extinguishers, we can easily lend a helping hand to make sure that we extinguish these fires. We should maintain our speed limits, because we know that the hazy weather has a tendency to reduce the visibility. And because of that, we are more prone to developing road traffic crashes. And because of this, fires too can occur, isn't it? And so we should always have our fire extinguishers nearby. Now, what else can cause these fires during the Harmattan season? We know that sometimes many of us mix household chemicals. These household chemicals can also trigger combustion. And so it is important to conduct such activities outside. If you know you're the kind of person that likes experimenting with household chemicals, probably to make some form of a household detergent, some washing liquid or something, don't do it within the home. Do it outside the home. All right? But needless to say, we shouldn't even be doing this. We shouldn't be mixing chemicals unless we're qualified to mix these chemicals. So just avoid it completely. I think that's just the best advice. How about our Christmas tree lights and our decorations during this festive season, during the Christmas season, during the New Year? We have Christmas tree lights and other lit decorations, which are also live culprits, live trees that are not watered properly and are left to dry out, are an easy target for incineration by those hot lights. Care must be taken to avoid overloading our electrical sockets. If you plug your DVD and your television and you still plug your refrigerator in the same place, it is risky and you can cause a fire outbreak. How about those of us that burn incense? Have you heard of incense? Or we call it, where I stay, Turaranguta, incense sticks. They can also cause major fire outbreaks. For example, we've lit those incense sticks, we've left the room, not knowing that the incense stick fell down onto the carpet, and before we knew it, the carpet is burning. Don't leave them unattended. And then place those incense sticks in areas where you know that it is unlikely that, even if they fall, it can cause a fire. Make sure that you place those incense sticks away from furniture, from carpets, from curtains, and continue to have your nice smelling room, all right? So promote your fire safety education to others, and then use your smoke detectors. Use your fire sprinklers in your homes, and make sure that you know about all your fire escape systems. That is another topic for another day. There are some implements that we call the spark arresters. Now, these spark arresters are devices that kill sparks before they can cause problems in some pieces of equipment, for example, in tents that are placed outside or in fireplaces. These devices, which are called spark arresters, can actually prevent some of these sparks from the fire that is burning from getting out of hand. They kill off the sparks, and that's why they're called spark arresters. Fires can effortlessly be triggered in facilities holding flammable and volatile substances with just a spark, because the flash point could easily be attained by these substances as a result of heat. In some parts of northern Nigeria, the temperatures soar as high as 36 to 39 degrees Celsius. And this is above the flash point of some daily used hydrocarbon fuels. So the low humidity and dryness in the air also affects the plants and the vegetation around us, resulting, or should I say, increasing their burn ability, meaning that a very little spark and the rest will just be a story. Make sure that you set the thermostat on your hot water heater to below 120 degrees Fahrenheit or 48.9 degrees centigrade. Always test the water temperature before your child gets into the tub. Aim for bathing water around 100 degrees Fahrenheit or about 38 degrees centigrade. So these are just some of the things that we can do to prevent our fires burning. Make sure that you tell all your family members, your friends. Do you know that this can cause a fire? Do you know that that can cause a fire? Do you know that this has happened before elsewhere? Do you know that you should keep your environment clean? Because that little spark can create great havoc. Do you want to be very healthy? Then click on the Don't Get Sick checklist just below in my pinned comments, and support this channel by buying us a coffee also in the pinned comment below. And I'll see you at the next live session. I remain Dr. Hadiza Muraliya Suleiman, and I'll see you again in our next live stream. Bye.